Part 25. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 242. 2411 Nonsense. No, it's not fair. You are all monks of Dandan, and I'm only practicing gas, so I'd better choose one of the real people behind you. Yekong laughed harmlessly. The so-called newborn calf is not afraid of tigers. Yekong said that immediately the real people who built the base were in trouble and took the initiative to fight. Uncle, don't bother you, let me go. I'm going to, I will kill this daring monk. Asked by several monks, the leading monk Jidan was ready to agree, but at this moment, an old voice came from his ears. What are you talking about with him? Are you all stupid? I will live together. The leading monk Jidan heard that this was the voice of Shi Dingfeng's ancestors, and he no longer dared, waved his hand, motioned for Zhuji to retreat, and then said coldly, Yekong. You attacked my 4 Qingming disciples. You could preach morality at that time. Have you ever reminded me? So, we in Qingming don't even care about these. Everyone, let's catch it. After monk Jidan finished speaking, dozens of magical instruments and magical weapons flew up all of a sudden, and all the bundles of immortal cords and shackled immortals came to cover their faces. His fairy. You are shameless than me, you are really a group of Europeans. Yekong no longer delays, and quickly releases Deu. Deu's repair is comparable to the infancy of the Yuan dynasty, and the body is abnormally powerful. When it comes out, it is a dragon dragging its tail. The huge tail swept away all the instruments, and it was sparse and shattered. Dragon, those Qingming disciples were suddenly stupid. When they saw Shenlong, Deu suddenly came out, shocked them all, and even 5 monks of Dandan stood on the spot. Tell Lu Zhen, I will come again, haha, I will give you another gift. Yekong threw a piece of 5-colored Guanghua twinkling magic charm, jumped on the back of Deu, and a water dragon rose into the sky. What is this? A few bold monks walked over and looked at the magic charm left by Yekong. I saw that the 5-colored light on the amulet kept flickering, and the ray of light ran wildly on the strokes of the amulet, and around the amulet, various auras gradually became violent. Qingming ancestor Shi Dingfeng can be said today that the fire can't be fired anymore. Just 1 hour after the retreat, it was disturbed again. Originally, I hoped that several apprentices of Jidan would easily grasp Yekong, but they did not expect that they would be stupid enough to talk to this boy about the morals of the rivers and lakes. What annoyed him most was that these guys didn't know it when they were in danger. They all surrounded the fierce psychic explosion, and didn't know what they were looking at. With the madness of the aura on Thursday and Friday, the monks' curiosity had subsided. They also felt the danger, and backed up. They all rushed in front of the array and looked nervously at the strange charm. If you let this magic explosion explode, the monks at the scene are afraid that they will have bad luck, but at the critical moment, I saw a flash of white light, and Shi Dingfeng's ancestor appeared outside. After Shi Dingfeng arrived in a teleportation, he waved his sleeves, and suddenly the dozens of monks rolled back into the array. Baby lock space. Shi Dingfeng hurriedly stretched out his hands, and suddenly his white hair and beard fluttered, and his old eyes were shining brightly. At the same time, a large bowl of pale white gas appeared between his hands. Yekongling, the explosive symbol, lay quietly in the gas ball. The aura rune was isolated from the aura outside, and immediately docile, and the violent aura around him quickly dissipated. Yuan Ying's ancestors were amazingly amazing. With only one move, they controlled the magical spell. However, Shi Dingfeng is also very entangled at this moment. He intentionally left this strange spell to study it. But as long as I let go, this amulet went crazy again. It was a very fierce spell. It seems to have only been destroyed. However, Shi Dingfeng immediately had a new idea, and saw his figure flicker again and disappeared into the air. Yekong didn't fly away. He was waiting for the shocking big explosion. This Qingming Valley sheltered Lu Zhen. This time, he had to teach them some lessons. But it wasn't the explosion, but an old man with white hair and white beard. Yezayadao, we have met again. Shi Dingfeng smiled sadly, took out his hands behind him, and saw that Lingbao charm was being wrapped by a faint white air mass. Shi Dingfeng laughed, I come and return your gift. It turned out to be the ancestor of Shi Dingfeng. Although Xiaoxiu was impoverished, but the gift I gave was never taken back. You can rest assured that this amulet Yekong did not expect that King Ming really gave his face. The head ancestors of Yuan Ying all chased them out in person. Run, don't run at this time, when do you wait? In the middle of the first baby year, it was only one step away from the monk. Yekong didn't even say hello. He drove out of Jade and flew out. My son, he is the peak of Yuan Ying in the middle. I am not his opponent. Dao's voice passed into Yekong's spiritual knowledge. Crap, I know you're not his opponent. You just have to run faster than him. Dao paused, and whispered again, I'm afraid, then speed, I'm not his opponent. Yekong heard this, and he really vomited blood. This time he really kicked the ironets on the board. It seems that monk Yuan Ying really can't offend. Dao has set the speed to the fastest. In the sky, it seems like a ray of light, which is fleeting, so fast that most people can't find it. And Shi Dingfeng's figure is real, like a ghost, a flash on one side and a flash on the other, firmly following Ding Yekong. Boy, don't run away. With the husband's cultivation, few people in the whole Kangnan continent are faster than me. Shi Dingfeng's voice clearly came from behind. Yekong certainly wouldn't listen to him, and posted a few wind charms to increase the speed of Dao. Boy, the old man is following, just asking you a word. What is it? What's in the forbidden cave in Motoya? Oh, this, Shi Dingfeng ancestor, you are really asking the right person. Yekong replied, in the cave, there is a trace of an old man's soul, and he told me that he is called Shi Laoji. It is you 18 generations of ancestors. Well, there may be more than 18 generations, but your ancestors anyway. Shi Dingfeng heard the blue and red on his face, changed several times, and finally kept silent. Yekong continued, your ancestors set up various tests in the cave, and then wit and clever Yekong bravely passed many tests, so your ancestors decided to recognize me as the master and let you Shijia people listen to me. Monk Shi Dingfeng, although you are very tall, but I am already the master of your ancestors. I do not want you to call me ancestors, so you will call me the master. For a long time, you still go back. There is a difference for the sender thousands of miles. A nonsense. The old man asked you politely, but you have fun with the old man and insulted my ancestors. Could it be that the old man was afraid to kill you? Shi Dingfeng, no matter how good it is, Yekong is also getting angry. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 243. Fortunately escaped. It's true these days. No one believes the truth. Damn, how can I say a few words? Yekong angered, Master Shi, whether you believe it or not, I will tell you. Many tricks. No word is true, the old man might as well kill you and search your soul. Yekong was anxious, and suddenly thought of the token. He said quickly, your ancestor also gave me a token, there are 10 words on it, the road is divided into yin and yang, and zi keng sha tian lang. Shi Dingfeng heard this, but didn't know what to think, and stopped. Yekong will not miss this opportunity, and quickly said to Dao, Dao, that day you drew a lot of monsters from a dragon chant, and there are many monsters across the mountain. I do not know how many monsters you can come out with this roar. What about? Dao was very obedient, flying and calling violently, only to see the deep forest calm down as if the big beasts rushed in the direction of the stone crest. My son, you are despicable, but I don't think that Yuan monk meant to kill you, Dao said again. Yekong looked behind and sighed, the ancestors of Yuanying are too powerful. I don't know how long these monsters can hold him. Even if he doesn't want to kill me, it must be a treasure, so we should run away first. Kangnan, there is a saying, don't believe anyone. Those driven by Dao are also lower level monsters. Where are Shi Dingfeng's opponents? Ye Kong heard a loud explosion from behind, and it is estimated that Shi Dingfeng used that magic explosion. Later, Ye Kong felt himself locked again by Shi Dingfeng's consciousness. Dao, it's not good, it seems that I can't escape this time. That guy also used my sense of oppression. Oh no, his sense is so powerful. Ye Kong felt at this moment that it was correct to escape in time. Obviously, Shi Dingfeng had already killed him. Ye Kong regretted telling the truth. Shi Dingfeng heard the 10 words on the token. He moved his heart. As an ancestor of Yuanying, God is very powerful, and it is very easy to kill each other with God. However, Ye Kong's consciousness is much stronger than other people, which makes Shi Dingfeng somewhat confused, but then he increased the pressure of consciousness. Ye Kong was extremely distressed at this moment, and there was a feeling that his soul was about to be crushed and squeezed out of his body, and that pain was extraordinary. His body was shaking, sweat was flowing all over his body, and his hands and feet were twitching. However, none of these leaves can be felt. His sense of consciousness seems to be broken at any moment, and his soul is flying away. Yuanying's ancestors' magical powers are indeed very powerful. They can kill people invisible, so far away. However, suddenly Shi Ding winds up, because he can't feel Ye Kong's sense. The kid wasn't dead, but the consciousness hid in a place where the wind on the top of the stone could not be found. Shi Dingfeng had never encountered this situation before, and he stumbled. There are thousands of ways for the old man to kill you, huh? King Minggu has kept the Zikang token for nearly 200,000 years, how can you easily take it away from you? The token is the old man. Shi Dingfeng Leng hung with a sound. He accelerated the speed of the teleport to follow up, and he believed that even if he could not use the divine pressure to kill Ye Kong, he could still intercept the boy and destroy his body. In fact, Ye Kong's consciousness hid in the golden light in the purple house. He suddenly thought at the critical moment that Huang Quan's ancestor wanted to take home last time, but was trapped in the golden light. So Ye Kong himself hid his soul into the golden light below the curse book, which escaped him. But the danger has not been lifted, the stone wind is still chasing behind, and the speed of Dao has been set to the fastest, but she still can't shake off the stone wind. If you go on like this, you will be caught by the stone wind and wait for the leaves. One word is empty, die. But at this moment, Dao suddenly exclaimed, water. At the moment, the end of the woods is a cliff, and under the high cliffs, the wide waves of the Wuan River are rolling, thousands of sails are racing across the river, and the sight is spectacular. But Dao was excited not because she saw this spectacular scene, but because she saw water. As a water dragon, it has a natural advantage in the water. Dao believes that as long as it enters the water, it can definitely escape the tracking of the stone top wind. Wow, a loud noise, all the boats on the Wuan River, today saw an amazing scene. I saw a huge water dragon slammed into the water, the huge impact force, the river turned up several feet afterwards, the waves surged, and numerous large and small spiral nests appeared on the water. In an instant, the water dragon had lost track. Then, an old man in a blue shirt appeared above the cliff. He stood in a volley and his hair was white, as if he was of 9 heavens. However, looking at his grim face, he must have encountered something very unpleasant. Shi Dingfeng looked at the mighty river and left for a long time. He knows water dragon enters the water, it is difficult to find it by himself. In fact, his consciousness has been spread hundreds of miles up and down the Wuan River, but still nothing. Boy, I must find you. You can't escape, Shi Ding snorted coldly, and then drifted away. Shi Dingfeng, when you see Bao's intentions, and do not respect the ancestors' meaning, even if you are the second child of Shi, I must revenge this arrow. Yekong speeding in the water also secretly resolved. I don't know how far in the water. Deo felt that the stone wind would not keep up, so he asked, "My son, how are you? You should be safe now." "I'm okay, you're tired, let's go back to the spirit beast circle and take a rest." In fact, Yekong is not good at this moment, although he finally hid in the golden light under the curse book, but the consciousness of Monk Yuanying is too powerful. As a result, Yekong's consciousness was greatly damaged. The immortal is an aura, so as long as the physical damage is not fatal, it is generally easier to repair. The most dangerous thing for the Xianxian is Qi Hai, the one who has Dandan is Jin Dan, the ancestor of Yuanying is Yuanying, which is a change of Qi Hai, is damaged. After Qi Hai is damaged, it will not only be repaired, it will be severe. I can no longer practice. The most difficult thing to recover is impaired consciousness. When Yekong had just arrived in the Kangnan continent, he had already suffered a loss of consciousness when he cultivated by himself. It took him almost a year to recover. And this time, it's more damaged. But the last time he did use it, this time he had a lot of Yang Yuan Dan that healed the gods. The alchemy that Lianruolan prepared for him finally came in handy. Wow! With the sound of water, a moist head emerged from the water. It was Yekong that he quickly patted away the storage bag and took out a Yang Yuan Dansai inlet. It felt like a faint brain and a sense of drowsiness. This is better. He looked up and saw that not far ahead was a large ship. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 244. 2 or 3 misunderstood. I need to find a place to take a good rest. Yekong wanted to fly out of the water, but at the moment his sense was seriously damaged, and even his mana was difficult to mobilize. Moreover, Yekong said that this ship must be a mortal thing, so don't reveal your monk's identity yourself. So Yekong took out Yirongdan from Lianruolan again, and swallowed it slowly towards the big ship. On the ship, the wind is strong, and a beautiful girl in red is staring into the distance. Her eyes are beautiful, but she has a sad look in her brows. A Renjongfeng blew her thin red coat against that perfect body. A pair of beautiful girl peaks stood tall, but the sailors could dodge, but they couldn't help but always pretend glancing inadvertently. My brother only knows that I am rude and willful, but I also have a lot of worries. Well, I don't know if I can get Chiquitan this time. The girl in red was muttering to Zhongfeng alone, and suddenly heard the sailor talking behind him sound. Someone fell over there. Look at me, it seems like he is swimming over. Can't you save? Several sailors looked at each other. In general, sailors who eat on the water are extremely rescued by those who fall into the water. After all, they are also eating this meal. It is not guaranteed that they will fall into the water and wait for rescue. But today, these sailors dare not save, because this time they were carrying a pair of fairy brothers and sisters. The brother is still loyal. Although the nun is beautiful, she has a very strange temperament. If she is unwilling to save people, will she be ordered to go home to divorce his wife by doing this extra effort? Between several sailors hesitated, they looked back at the girl in red, but the nun was looking away from them, and they looked at each other, and no one dared to ask the nun. Just at the moment they hesitated, the sinker had swam near, and even the cry for help was clear. Can you save it? Go and ask. A sailor pushed a sailor around him. Don't introduce it, let's ask. You have 2 wives. I only have 1 wife. The other sailor shoved and dared not go. As they shoved each other, they heard a coquettish drink behind them. You inhuman sailors, you will not be rescued when you see the drowning. Do you want to watch him drown? No one comes with a wife? Several sailors are almost vomiting blood. Damn, aren't we afraid of your auntie if we do save? Although my heart is depressing, I still have to save someone. Since the fairy teacher has given her order, save it. Soon, A long bamboo stick stretched out, for fear of falling into the water, and two young sailors jumped out of the water, helping the falling man to climb into the ship. But what made all the sailors strange was that the nun in red was full of vigilance when she saw the man on board, and even took out a fairy sword. Yekong was also embarrassed when he got on the boat. He wanted to pretend to be immortal, so as not to scare the mortal, but who knows that when he got on the boat, he saw a female monk, but this female monk is really pretty, she is in red clothes, legs Chang Feng Ting. Who are you? Why are you posing as a drowning man? Zhang Wei snorted coldly. As soon as the black-faced man got on the ship, she saw the storage bag hanging around his waist, and then looked at it with sky eye, and found that the guy was indeed it is a monk with 6 layers of gas refining. Will a monk be flooded by the river? Even if there are only 6 layers of gas refining, it will not be impossible to perform flying. This person must be bad intentions. This is Zhang Wei's conclusion on this blackface. Knowing that he had been misunderstood, Yekong said with a smile, Dao Yu, Xiaoxiu is indeed falling into the water. I thought this was a mortal ship, because I was afraid that the world would scare mortals, so he pretended to be a mortal drowning man. It's a bullshit. Make excuses and make excuses. Believe, who are you and what are you doing? Yekong is really going to vomit blood, and his immortals are slabbing. What kind of world is this? Why can't anyone believe the truth? No more, can I change the boat now? Yekong said helplessly. No. Don't even want to leave when you get on the boat. You know the pirates who bully mortals, Zhang Wei is also very natural to guess. Many low-level casual repairs raise the level of hopelessness. This is mixed with first-class thieves? Wu Yi decided to kill the people today. Yekong only smiled bitterly. He wanted to take a boat for a break, but who knows he encountered this person, and he was not allowed to stay, and he was not allowed to leave. He was also regarded as a pirate. Girl, I'm really not a pirate. Then why do you pretend to be a mortal drowning man? I told you you don't believe me. Don't say good things twice. Yekong was also annoyed at the entangled female nun. Oh, you're quite a cross. A minor repairer with 6 layers of gas refining, what are you cross? Zhang Wei was also enraged by Yekong. Minor repair of the 6th floor of gas refining? Lao Tzu is not afraid of Shang Yuanying's ancestors, are you afraid of you? Even if I was injured now, barely fighting with you is more than enough. Come on, don't just fight, let the horses come over. Yekong also settled down a little and stood still. The sailors panicked at God, and did not expect that such a thing could be rescued. These 2 men are immortal masters. This war is afraid that the big ship will not be protected, and it seems that they will become drowning men. Already. Quickly a smart sailor rushed into the cabin to call the male immortal who was still very good-natured. When Zhang Wulin rushed out, the 2 were still facing each other. Zhang Wei held the immortal sword and said angrily, why don't you take out the magic weapon, and you won't be convinced if you lose. Yekong didn't want to take the magic weapon, and smiled lightly, what weapon do you use? Arrogant, Zhang Wei was irritated by his contempt. The girl is no longer a perfect monk for refining gas. It is not enough to deal with a little monk with 6 layers of refining gas. As soon as Zhang Wei was about to urge Fijian, he heard Zhang Wulin scream, slow. Yekong followed the sound, and for a moment he suddenly didn't expect to meet an old acquaintance here, and looked at the nun in red, and suddenly remembered the night that Bei Zongjai was leaving. Zhang Wulin said that his sister was coming. It seems that this is his sister. A pretty sister, that's a bad temper. Yekong smiled lightly. Brother, you came just right, help me clean up this black-headed black-faced pirate. Zhang Wei screamed at the sight of his brother, and looked at Yekong with a provocative look. Huh, little monk, be afraid. Both of us are higher than you. Shui Cao, Zhang Wulin heard the Shui Cao, and he was vigilant and struck a spell. Ye Kong looked at it and it was the super flamingo that he painted. He gave Zhang Wulin a self-defense at that time, but he did not expect to use it at this moment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 245. 2 or 4 to borrow land for healing. This Taoist, don't you listen to your sister talking nonsense, but it is a casual repair in the middle of the road. He was identified as a water pirate, Ye Kong explained. Zhang Wei shouted, brother, don't listen to his rhetoric. This guy has black heads and black brains. It is not a good thing at first sight. Ye Kong ignored her and said to Zhang Wulin politely, Dao, can you take a step to talk? Okay, please. Zhang Wulin busy escorted Ye Kong to the bow side. Behind Zhang Wei's lame sound, black face guy. Don't look at my brother's loyalty, just want to cheat him. I said you're bothered? Your brother can't tell how old he is so old. Without you, he can't live well, Ye Kong yelled back, yelling at Zhang Wei. Ye Kong was easy to read, but Zhang Wulin couldn't recognize it, but he still had a familiar feeling. He heard Ye Kong's words and seemed to know himself, but Zhang Wulin looked carefully and seemed to not know him. Dao friends, do we know? Zhang Wulin asked. I don't know, but I look familiar to you. Ye Kong pretended to look at each other carefully. He did not identify himself, but was not guarding Zhang Wulin, but was afraid of causing trouble for him. After hearing this from Ye Kong, Zhang Wulin also laughed. Well, I see you too. Later, Zhang Wulin thought of a possibility and asked, Dao, have you been to Beizong village, city? Yeah, wow, recognize it, you are. Ye Kong's old friend patted Zhang Wulin's shoulder like a enthusiasm, you are the one who sells arrays. I bought several of you. Haha, then you must have been there 4 months ago, because then, I have stopped selling martial arts. Yeah, haha. The two quickly hugged each other like old friends, and saw Zhang Wei twirling angrily. Huh, dead face, fancy words, it's great to have been to Beizai Fang Fang and sold arrays. I heard Zhang Wulin ask again, Dao you, why are you today? Ye Kong knew that Zhang Wulin was quite honest, so he said half-truthfully, my younger brother, I met an enemy before, and fled to this river, and my consciousness was damaged again. He hid under the water and escaped, and thought find a place to live. When I saw this big ship, I thought it was a mortal ship, so I didn't reveal the monk's identity, but I didn't expect Lingmei to treat me as a puppet. Kangnan mainland monks are ruthless, and they are usually injured, and they dare not tell anyone. No one will sympathize with you, have pity on you, help you, only someone will kill you and kill you while you are ill. So if it wasn't for Zhang Wulin, Ye Kong wouldn't dare say it. Oh, that's the way it is. Zhang Wulin nodded, and said, since this little friend trusts me, then you can rest assured on the boat, even if your enemies reappear, we can resist for a while. Rest assured, that enemy can't find me. Ye Kong knew that Zhang Wei was eavesdropping, so he said, Dao, that is, you have a generous heart, so I dare to tell the truth, like some people, meet and shout, I dare not say it. When Zhang Wei heard it, he was immediately annoyed. Hey, you blackhead, what do you say? You speak bad words behind your back, do you have a sense of public morality? Ye Kong didn't look at her, and grinned broadly, it doesn't matter if you don't have public morality, unlike some people, they overheard a man whispering, without even shame. You. I fight with you. Zhang Wei bit her cherry lips and rushed over with a flying sword. Well, don't make a mess. Zhang Wulin blocked his sister and said to Ye Kong again, it's important to heal the wounds. I'd better take Dao to the cabin. Ye Kong nodded. Very good. On the way to the cabin, Zhang Wulin suddenly remembered something and laughed, seeing me confused, I forgot to introduce myself to you. Incha Jiang Wulin, this is my sister Zhang Wei and Wu Kuyun Fuzong Niatang disciple. I know all this, but what name should I name? Ye Kong couldn't think of a good name, and said casually, "From the countryside, my family name is Li, and because I am black, everyone calls me Li Hiza." As soon as Ye Kong finished speaking, he heard Zhang Wei cursing behind him, "There is nothing good for a black spot. I deserve no wife." Ye Kong heard something inexplicable. This woman has a problem in her brain. How did she get in touch with his wife? Looks like you can't hit 8 shots. Zhang Wulin laughed, and told about the sailor named Hiza yesterday. Ye Kong was even more depressed when he heard it. He was an immortal. He knew that he would not be a sunspot. It was a bad luck. He could be hated by any nickname. He was really an enemy with this little pepper. The ship was not small, and there were many empty rooms upstairs. Zhang Wulin arranged Ye Kong into a room and was pulled by her sister to the next room. "Brother, how can you accept people casually? How much do you know about that black egg? What if he is a bad guy and attacked us?" Zhang Wei complained. "Sister, I don't think this person is a bad person." Zhang Wulin shook his head and said, "Don't make a fuss, even if he is a bad person there is no threat to us, and, I always think he and Xia Hui's little friends kind of like." "It's Xia Hui again." Zhang Wei patted his head and felt that he was really nervous, and sighed, "Brother, I've heard this name now and vomit. How many times have you said in the past 2 months, now a little monk of unknown origin came on board, and you feel like Xia Hui again? Oh my god, wouldn't you have a leg with that, right?" "What nonsense," Zhang Wulin blushed, and was treated as such by his sister. However, as soon as the younger sister said, Zhang Wulin also felt that he was nervous. How could he be treated as Xia Hui when he saw someone? In the room, Ye Kong hurriedly looked in the mirror to see his current respect. "It's really dark." Ye Kong couldn't help but smile bitterly. This Yi Rongdan turned all his skin into bronze, and his face seemed to have become bigger. "Now, I can't see the original look at all." However, from Ye Kong's perspective, he did not become ugly. Although he turned from a small white face to a black-faced man, it was more rude, a standard dark horse prince. "This way is healthier." Ye Kong smiled, set up the array in the room, and began to meditate. The big ship sailed on the Wuan River for 3 full days, and Ye Kong also meditated in the formation for 3 days, which made Zhang Wei, who had wanted to find Ye Kong awkward, have a very unpleasant feeling, as if there was nowhere to fire. Feel. On the 4th day, Ye Kong broke out. Actually, it wasn't that he took the initiative, but Zhang Wulin came to the door. To the reader. Open a new map, dear friends, get on the bricks. If you want to make a guest appearance, leave a few more comments. Comments are often lost, and the name should not be too outrageous. Lamb, Hot Pot, Winter Breeze. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 246. 245 Chili Fried Black Eggs. "I'm really sorry for interrupting Li Dao's healing," Zhang Wulin said politely when he entered the room. "Anyway, these 3 days have made me much better, at least I won't feel dizzy and headache." Ye Kong is indeed much better, which made him realize the importance of elixir. A monk with a fixed supply of elixir and a Dan drug unstable loose repairs are completely different. "Then congratulations, Li Dao healed soon." Zhang Wulin laughed. "Brother Zhang, let's talk straight." Ye Kong believed that Zhang Wulin had come to beat him, and there must be something. "That's it, the ship is about to reach its destination," Zhang Wulin said with a smile. "Oh, it's time to stand." Ye Kong laughed too, and he seemed to be looking for another place. But then Zhang Wulin asked again, "Can Li Dao have any plans?" Ye Kong shook his head. "Nguo is temporarily unable to return. My enemy is a core disciple of the Xianxian family. He has a lot of influence, and it seems that he can only avoid it for a while in Wu country." Zhang Wulin nodded, and then said, "Don't hide Li Dao. In fact, this time when I went back to Wu country with Shimei, I just wanted to join Yun Fuzong. If Li Dao didn't dislike it, why don't you come with us?" I believe there is the help of Shimei, it should be accepted, just. Ye Kong thought about it, it was a good idea to hide in the high school and practice. It wasn't too Dan medicine, but it was enough for him now. The key is stability. It is very difficult to find a place full of aura and safety outside these martial arts. Li also wants to join these famous factions. Brother Zhang is in need, but he doesn't mind. Zhang Wulin continued to say, it's just that Yun Fuzong recruited apprentices in the outer hall. Not only is the sacred medicine of the spiritual stone, but he must not enter the inner hall to learn advanced exercises and charms. Oh, these are all good. Ye Kong waved his hands generously. There is no shortage of spiritual stones. Elixir, Lao Tzu uses a good elixir of elixir. As for the sign technology, let's not worry about it anymore, the spell collection in Lao Tzu's brain is 100 times more advanced than you. Hearing Ye Kong didn't care about it, Zhang Wulin was also very happy, and laughed, that's alright, I have Yun Fuzong, and I have a companion. After he said it, he comforted Ye Kongdeo, don't worry, my sister also knew some monks in Yun Fuzong, and after a few days, they said that they would accept us, haha, we will be counted as disciples. Then please brother Zhang and Ling may care more. Ye Kong thought, since he wants to develop something in the system of amulets, it is good to stay in Yun Fuzong for a while, after all, they have more than 100,000 years of martial arts. There is always some experience. Zhang Wulin went out for a while, and Zhang Wei in a red suit appeared. To say that the girls were really bulging. When I entered the door, I hadn't seen the other parts, and saw two tall Ziyufeng appeared. Hey, Black Egg, I heard that you also want to join Yun Fuzong. Zhang Wei walked in and looked east and west, but he didn't look straight at Ye Kong, which was very impolite. Little girl O's training. Ye Kong smiled, then put on a surprised expression, and said, how do you know my egg is black? The name of the black egg was Zhang Wei listening to the sailors shouting. How can I know what it means? Anyway, I know it is not a good word, so I used it to deal with Ye Kong. Seeing Ye Kong's expression, Zhang Wei was a little hesitant. Nana said, your face and hands are so black and your whole body is black. Of course, eggs, do men also lay eggs? He Zhang Wei laughed, you black egg is stupid. Only animals can lay eggs, where are your eggs? Ye Kong shook his head solemnly, you have no culture. Men do not have eggs, they have eggs. They are born with one pair. Ye Kong had already felt shameless, and he waited for Zhang Wei to run out in disgust. But who knows that this girl is simple, eyes wide, and said, why don't I know? People can have eggs. Well, it's all caused by the lack of education, Ye Kong said with a sigh, of course, I don't believe you to ask your brother. Ye Kong said here, already imagining Zhang Wulin's blushing and awkward expression, he couldn't help laughing. Ye Kong smiled, Zhang Wei felt wrong, and cursed, cheat. You black-faced liar, there is no truth in his mouth. First lie to my brother, now to lie to me. Ye Kong fainted. How can I lie to you? You lie to me, men have eggs. Ye Kong is about to vomit blood. How can it be so difficult to tell the truth these days? But this problem is not easy to entangle, can't pull her pants down for her to see, right? Although Ye Kong didn't care about his face, he couldn't do such a thing. Okay, you call me a black egg, and I'll call you a little pepper, Ye Kong said, changing the topic. Zhang Wei was a bit old-fashioned, and her thinking was unexpected, so she laughed and said, little pepper, I like it. Oh, pepper fried black eggs. Hey, word-making sentences, I like it. But chili fried black eggs is not good, it is best that you caress my black eggs, I rub your pepper eggs. Although Ye Kong thought very shameless, but he was not embarrassed to say it, but smiled, I don't dare to mix with you. You are too spicy, I can't bear it. Zhang Wei gave him a white look and hummed, cut, Do you think I want to be with you? As for your black head and black face, this girl is not willing to look at it anymore. Your little girl, you know the fart. My name is Health Color, Bronze Color, the most popular color. In my hometown, many men and women with white skin have deliberately sun-dried like this on the beach. Nonsense, naturally, Zhang Wei would not believe that there were so many boring people. He deliberately tanned his white skin into black skin, and she yelled, "It's hard to marry a wife like you, and it will be ugly." At that time, a litter of small black babies will be reborn, with names such as Big Black, Second Black, Little Black. Hey hey, stop, I'm not a dog, Ye Kong immediately protested solemnly. In short, regardless of whether you are a human or a dog, this girl advises you not to make my idea, or you will regret it one day. No, which of your eyes found me hitting your idea? Ye Kong was sullen, and this girl was too self-conscious. Zhang Wei was annoyed, don't want to deny it. You, with that look, I know what you want. Yeah, hollow, don't you just look at your chest and a few times. Really, little girl, this is the look of complete appreciation. So Ye Kong got upright and said, Girl Zhang, you can rest assured. Not only are there mortal wives, but also the dual monks. They are not only beautiful and kind, but also gentle and watery. People, savage and wayward, shouting and killing before 3 words, like a girl's house. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 247. 246 Loss. Ye Kong's words, of course, Zhang Wei did not believe it. In her opinion, this boy looks dark and poor in cultivation. Mortal women are also possible. If you want to find a dual monk, it is unlikely that any woman will be blind. Would you like him after seeing it? So Zhang Wei decided to expose his lies. She wrinkled her nose and said, he's deceiving again. Then I ask you, what kind of cultivation is your companion? In the middle of foundation construction, we are about to enter the late foundation phase. Before Ye Kong finished speaking, Zhang Wei laughed, you minor repair, every time you tell a lie, it's not reliable. You have to lie to people and make up the lie round, in the middle of the foundation, you in the middle of refining gas, there will be female nuns in the middle of building the base to see you. Are you still awake from your big dream? You don't believe it. Ye Kong didn't want her to believe it, and said, little sister, you haven't been in love. I told you I didn't understand it. Love is not a vegetable purchase on the market, nor is it a contest. Contest, love is about fate. Do NT talk. If you do NT understand, save it as a joke. Cut, I don't believe it anyway. Zhang Wei snorted, walked out of Ye Kong's room, and muttered in his heart, would the nuns at Zuji really look after the young monk who practiced gas? Is love really about fate? Also, what is fate? Cheat. Even if what he said is true, it must have been cheated by this boy's rhetoric. That nun has suffered afterwards. Zhang Wei was even a little worried about the nun who had never met before, but when she walked for a while, she remembered that she hadn't said the official words of going to Ye Kong's room. It's all this kid's nonsense. Forgetting the business, Zhang Wei took lotus feet and ran back again. In the room, Ye Kong just undressed. These days, he has been wearing the clothes soaked in water. For monks, don't dry your clothes with moisture when they are wet, so you won't feel uncomfortable wearing them. But although the clothes are dry, the clothes soaked in water will inevitably be wrinkled and look unsightly. Ye Kong thought about going ashore to Yunfuzong. How can he change into a clean and beautiful one? It is still important to give people a good first impression, so he went out to get wet, and then took out the clean clothes from the storage bag. Changing clothes was quick, but Ye Kong looked at the magical instruments in the storage bag, and thought again. He is now a Lihiza, and Yekong's frequently used instruments are not used for the time being. For example, flying carpets, which are his signature instruments, are all unique in Kangnan. And Gubao, that can't be easily taken out. These things are really eye-catching. Including those unique spells, they must be kept secret. In order to be unobtrusive, he had to prepare a few garbage tools, so Ye was naked, and rummaged up his storage bag. Where did Ye Kong know that Zhang Weihai would go and return, and Zhang Weihai could not guess that the boy would suddenly remove all his clothes, so when this simple girl entered the room, an amazing scene appeared. "Ah!" Zhang Weihai shouted, scaring her to cover her eyes with two free hands. In fact, Ye Kong was frightened by her. He thought that the storage bag was a little problem. He just wanted to check it out and heard the scream. He subconsciously blocked it with the storage bag. "Hey! Can you knock when you enter the door?" This is the courtesy of kindergarten teaching. It seems that Kangnan didn't have a kindergarten. Ye Kong cursed, and quickly took out a blue shirt and put it on. Big gangster. Black egg gangster. Zhang Weihai closed his eyes and kept swearing in his mouth. "Well, open your eyes. Remember, next time you enter the door, you have to knock on the door, especially to the man's room," Ye Kong said, hanging the storage bag around his waist. His heart said, "Did this girl just see it? What about my storage ring around my neck?" In fact, Zhang Weihai didn't see the storage ring. Shameless. Indecent. This girl has suffered a big loss. "Did you still teach me?" Zhang Weihai opened her eyes first and found Ye Kong did put on her clothes, so she took her hand away. But her face was already crimson, so red that she was about to bleed, and her shameful appearance was touching. "I've been stunned by you, and you've lost money. Master Ben has lost a lot," Ye Kong countered mercilessly. "I didn't see it," Zhang Weihai said wrongly. Although she was rude and willful, at this moment she didn't dare to stay any longer and asked quickly, "I came to ask you, what kind of spirit root are you?" "5 elements roots," Ye Kong said with pride. 5 elements miscellaneous roots. Zhang Weihai had already guessed that this little Ziyuling root would not be very good, but it was not so good as to scare her. When she responded, she sighed, "I can only help as much as possible. Your qualifications are too bad. If you don't agree with the door, you can't blame me. Don't worry, don't accept me even if it is." Ye Kong also has the attitude of being able to enter and not entering. "Okay, nasty black eggs, remember to lock the door next time you change clothes." Zhang Weihai cursed again, and then turned and walked out of the cabin. When she got to the deck and was blown by the wind, the blush on her face subsided a lot, and the deer in her heart settled down. Zhang Wulin was waiting on the deck. When he saw his sister coming over, he quickly asked, "Sister, what is his spiritual root?" 5 elements miscellaneous roots, Zhang Weihai replied, with blame in his breath. He blamed his brother for nothing, and took this 5 elements miscellaneous roots back to the ancestral gate. "I am afraid that people will not be able to accept them, and they will be laughed at by the sisters and sisters." When Zhang Wulin heard this, he was startled again. He knew that Xiaohui was the root of the 5 elements, and this Lihiza was also the root of the 5 elements. In addition to the previous doubts, he was even more suspicious of the Lihiza at this moment. The 5 elements rooted to the 6th level of gas refining. "It's not easy." Zhang Wulin sighed and looked at the direction of the cabin. This Lihiza must not be an ordinary person. Even if he is not Xiaohui's friend, it is certainly not simple. Yes, the 5 elements of the spiritual root can still enter the 6th layer of refining gas. Zhang Weihai had an idea this time. Just now, his brain has been occupied by cranky thoughts. Now he is awake and thought of this, but she said disdainfully, "Even if he cultivates to the 6th level of gas refining, with his 5-element hybrid root qualification, I am afraid that it is never possible to go to the next level." Zhang Weihai is right. Even Zhang Wulin had the same idea before, but since he knew Ye Kong, this stereotyped idea has been changed. He can see that Yekong is not an ordinary person, and he knows that the 5 elements roots want to break through the 4th layer of gas refining. How difficult it is to be able to break through, it must not be mortal. It's just that Li Hezi is Xiaohui's friend. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 248. 247 Martial Arts Style. Not long after, the big ship docked at the pier in Surabaya city of Wu Kingdom. Surabaya city is located on the side of the Wuan River. At the same time, a large river running from north to south meets here. This seems to be the intersection of a waterway. Therefore, Surabaya city got its name. To say that a country is a kind of local customs, although this martial arts country and Nguo are only separated by a transverse mountain range, but many places are different. After getting off the boat, Yekong was surprised to find that more than 50% of the pedestrians and traders on the pier were cultivators, and even the puppies carrying sacks were monks. However, these monks are not high in practice. Among the hundreds of people, only a few of the 2nd layer of gas refining, the others are the 1st layer of gas refining, and some only carry some spiritual power, not even the 1st layer of gas refining. As for the 3rd layer of gas refining, there is no one. Although the realm is not high, Yekong was surprised to see so much at once. Seeing Yekong's look of surprise, Zhang Wulin laughed. Brother Li is the first time to come to Wu Kingdom. People who dare to come to Wu Kingdom will be surprised to see so many monks. Yekong nodded and said, I'm really surprised. Why can there be more monks than mortals? And those monks also do mortal work. No experience. Zhang Wei finally had a chance to hit Yekong again. She said, actually they are not monks, they are just mortals. You use sky eye to see that they have aura and realm, that is because they have practiced a method called Lingwu secular martial arts. Lingwu? What kind of martial arts is this? Yekong asked curiously. Zhang Wei also wanted to sell a pass, but Zhang Wulin said earlier, Lingwu is a martial art that lies between the practice of immortal and secular martial arts. This kind of kung fu can be cultivated with or without spiritual roots. Its main function is to absorb the aura to refine the body, so that the mortal body is stronger and more powerful, but the practice of spiritual martial arts is to reach the height of the 2nd floor of the gas cultivation at most, and it is impossible to use spells or manipulate the magical instruments, so this spiritual martial art belongs to a type of secular martial arts. That was the case. Yekong nodded and smiled. Although it is not a cultivation of immortals, this is also a kind of quasi-immortal cultivation. It seems that the atmosphere of Wuxiu's cultivation of immortals is still very strong. Yekong thought, since this Lingwu does not use a spiritual root, can they practice Xiaohong Lukan? The 2nd layer of refinable gas seems to be too low. He asked without hesitation, couldn't it be to enter the Tao by refining the body, and then set foot on the ferry road? It's unlikely. Zhang Wulin shook his head. The quality of mortal bodies and their fatal flaws in which they can't sense Reiki makes them unable to go further, which generations of Lingwu practitioners in the Wu state have tried it and never heard of it who can embark on the road of cultivation. Oh, Yekong nodded. It seems that Lingwu is still not working. Even if they practice, they are at most high in martial arts. It is impossible to cultivate into a fairy. This Wu country really has a strong atmosphere of cultivating immortals. When the 3 of them took off flying instruments and left, no one paid much attention. Unlike in Angwo, when they saw an immortal, the people would kneel and scratch their heads. Yekong later learned that Dare Love Fuzong is near Surabaya city, and every day you can see the immortals flying around, and those mortals are not strange. The 3 were driving a magic weapon, and Yekong was naturally an inferior flying sword, which caused Zhang Wei to despise and ridicule. Of course Yekong heard and pretended not to hear. Zhang Wulin stepped on a Zongfei Fijian and said cheerfully that if he hadn't met Xiaohui's friends, he would be reluctant to buy this Zongpan magic weapon. Zhang Wei hated Xiaohui first, and Black Egg second, so she snorted angrily, thinking that when she saw this guy named Xiahui in the future, she would have to be a pig, so my brother would recognize him. No one can come here. Zhang Hui's flying instruments are a pair of Hot Wheels, and they are also a piece of Chinese-style magical instruments. In order to show the pendulum, she also took out a flying sword, two types of Chinese-style magical instruments, to make you a black egg envious of death. If Yekong is envious of even the middle-class instruments, he will not be Yekong. He stared at Zhang Hui, thinking in his heart. Stepping on a Hot Wheel and wearing a red dress, how does it look like a red child? If you take a three-pointed gun, well, it's not right. The red baby is holding a red rifle, it seems that it's not right, it's Kin circle. Where did Zhang Hui know that Yekong thought of a mythical figure? She saw the black egg's eyes looking at her constantly, and her heart suddenly jumped for no reason. Dead black egg. Look and dug your eyes, Zhang Hui cursed, and flew away on the Hot Wheel. Unlike the Angzio-Daxio faction in the deep mountains, the Yunfuzong of the Wu Kingdom was on a mountain not far from Surabaya city, and it flew for a while, and from a distance, the building looked like Yekong. Looks like Taoism on earth. Zhang Hui took them to the reception hall under the mountain. Yekong took a look. Good guy, many people. This mountain gate is close to the secular world. This is not good. There are too many people who come to the door every day to worship the teacher and learn immortality. In addition, recently, Zhongli has released a word, and a group of disciples must be received. The temple cannot see the edge outside the temple. There are two disciples collected this time. One is the disciple of the inner court. The requirements of these disciples are excellent in spiritual roots and will be vigorously cultivated in the future. Of course, if your charm technique is very promising, it can also be absorbed into the inner hall. The second kind is the disciple of the outer hall, and the spiritual root is generally enough. The disciple of the outer hall acts as a labor and general role, who would be good if Ling Zhen is good. With acquaintances, they don't need to line up. Zhang Hui took them to the quieter apps examination room and found a young male monk in the foundation period. Brother Cao, this is my brother, this is a black egg. They want to join Yunfuzong, can they not be assessed? Zhang Hui stepped forward and asked. If you don't do the assessment, you have to take a form, but if you want to enter the inner hall, then you must have the real skills, and there will be an ancestor of Jadan to review it. Oh, I just want them to go to the outer court and ask my teacher to accept them in the future. Brother Cao nodded and said, it's all done in the middle of gas refining. They should join the outer hall easily and effortlessly. Well, then I'll take them in. Zhang Hui just wanted to leave, but was stopped by Brother Cao, sister, let your brother and them go in by themselves. They passed through steadily. Come, let me tell you something very recent. It seems that chili pepper is still very popular. Zhang Hui just chatted with Brother Cao outside, and Zhang Wulin and Yekong walked in. The voice of Brother Cao came from behind, sister, do you know that you are returning from Angwo at this moment? You have suffered a great deal. Why? Angwo sent a lawless little monk named Yekong who killed the barbarians and killed the Emperor Angwo and was hunted down by the barbarians with a reward of 50,000 spirit stones. At the same time, Ling Yaoshan also issued a chase of 100,000 spirit stones killing order. Yeah, 15,000 spirit stones, Zhang Hui Hongyanyan's small mouth could not be closed. To the reader. Write down the names, take your time. Some will be coming soon. If you see ANT go up for a while, please wait. After you have a suitable role, Xiaoman doesn't want everyone to hang up as soon as he comes on the field. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 249. 248 Leaves. Brother Cao said, I haven't finished it yet. To say that this little Xiu Yekong is really not ordinary insane. He is still chasing him. Who knows that he hit the gate of Qingming again and killed 4 A real person who built a base escaped from the eyes of monk Shi Dingfeng after seriously wounding an old ancestor of Dan. Zhang Wei was even more shocked. Shi Dingfeng, that is the great magical monk who is about to reach the end of Yuan Ying. He fled from his eyelids. This Yekong is so good. What is it? The sixth layer of gas refining. Brother Cao's eyes were full of longing. The other 6 layers of gas refining were bovine X. He built a 6-layer base and had to deliver tea to others. He sighed, well, neither know how the little monk did it. Zhang Wei is also going to faint. A monk refining 6 layers of gas can seriously injure one Jadan ancestor, and also kill 4 real people who built the base. Finally, he escaped from the eyes of the ancestors in the middle of Yuan. Don't you tell me a story? It's true, Brother Cao said. King Minggu's hunting order is the most exaggerated. If you kill Yekong, you will get 100,000 spirit stones. If you catch Yekong alive and send it back to Qingming Valley, you will receive 500,000 spirit stones. 500,000 spirit stones. Zhang Wei's jaw was about to fall to the ground. Oh my God, 500,000 spirit stones. With these spirit stones, what are the best magic instruments and the best elixir to consider? Brother Cao laughed and laughed. So you are losing. Now countless monks in Wu state are rushing to Angguo, but you are back by yourself. Zhang Wei bit his lip and said, I really regretted my death. If I were in Angguo, I would probably earn these 500,000 spirit stones. Yekong couldn't help feeling that when they heard them, Shi Dingfeng's old is really a bloodshed. But is he trying to catch it? Is it the token? What is the token? Let Shi Dingfeng make such a big price? Yekong and Zhang Wulin walked not far from the door, and saw a pair of mother and son coming over. The mother was in her 20s, mortal, but she was pretty. Although she was a little woman, she was still shy. Small steps, lively, Yekong could not help but glance at it. The little woman brought her son young, about 7 or 8 years old, but was born strong. Mother! I don't want to go. I want to be a fairy, the boy shouted as he walked, very annoyed. Xianxia, it's not the mother who won't let you be an immortal, it's the immortals who don't want to accept you because they look at you with poor qualifications, said the little woman, holding her son's head. Why don't you help me? The Xianxia shouted and shouted. The big family members in the village all said, in the way of mother, as long as you undress your pants, everything is easy to handle, even the fairy is not exception. Mother, if you want to help me, undress the pants once to the fairy. You, the little lady didn't expect her son to say such rebellious shame in public. She was really angry and shouted, go home with your mother. Xianxia, you are too much, how can you let your mother do such a thing? The son had a lot of strength, and he reluctantly left. The little woman was flushed, and he couldn't move him. The little woman was in a hurry, crying, and yelled, you are so talented, why did you leave me with such a son? He is just a root of miracles, but he wants to be a fairy. The little woman scolded and wanted to hold her son's ears and drag him away, but the boy made a shocking scene. Pup, the boy named Xianxia actually raised his hand and slapped a dozen slapping faces at his mother-in-law's face. The woman's face suddenly swelled, and even a little blood came out of her mouth. This inverse behavior has made people passing by incapable, and they have accused Xianxia of being too filial. The boy was surrounded by the crowd, and he hid behind his old mother, crying in shock. But the little lady hurriedly protected her son and said to the crowd, it's all right, brothers and uncles, leave it alone. This is our family's business. Xianxia is a good boy. He is just too excited. It's true that sticking out filial piety and being submissive, Zhang Wulin couldn't help but sigh. He wanted to continue to go inside, but found that Li Hiza went towards the mother and son. Xianxia, do you really want to cultivate immortals? Yekong walked over and asked. Of course the child looked at the teenager with a storage bag on his waist, knew it was a fairy, and quickly nodded. Come, let me see your spiritual roots. Yekong stretched out his hand to Xianxia. When the child's arm stretched out, Xianxia's mother looked nervously at Yekong, and she also saw that the black-faced boy was a fairy, but her son's spiritual roots were so bad that he even went to Yunfuzong to do miscellaneous work. No one will accept it? Xianxia, Lingen is really bad, said the little woman with the red face. The little lady's words suddenly exchanged with her son's scolding. How can you be a mother? Say your son is not good in front of an outsider. Although this boy is not filial, but he is also savvy. After scolding his old lady, he smiles at Yekong again and pleads, Immortal Master, please accept me. Enter Yunfuzong, I will work hard, practice, don't embarrass you, and wait for you to be old. I will give you the end of the old age, and bring filial piety. Really, one day, I will not be tortured to death by you. Yekong smiled and said, Xianxia, I can take you as an apprentice and teach you magic. Thank you, master. The boy was so happy that he knelt down and wanted to scratch his head. However, Yekong also said, but I'm not currently Yunfuzong. I'm just a casual repairer. At present, I am on the 6th floor of gas refining. I wonder if you would like to agree. When Xianxia heard this, her face was not good, but then she thought that it would be better to worship first and then say, if not, get rid of this master. Master, the student is willing. Yekong nodded, asked Ming Xianxia's name and address, and said, there is still work for the teacher today, you go back first, I will come to the door in a few days, and pass on your exercises at that time. I heard that there was a fairy who would accept her son. The little woman burst into tears with excitement, and her little white face was as pitiful as a pear. She also hurried to her knees. Xianxia accepted my child as an apprentice, and Baiji'er was so grateful to be a cow and a horse. Baiji'er, one more word, if it's Baiji, just fine. Yekong thought a little shamelessly. But he said politely, the elder sister invites me. It is also my Lihizi and Xianxia who have a fate, otherwise I won't accept a disciple. Raising Baiji'er, the mother and child went for 2,000 thanks. From a distance, I heard that Xianxia whispered to his mother, my mother is right, I am right, the fairy is greedy for the beauty of the mother, and the black guy touched your hand when he helped you up. Xianxia. Hugh is nonsense, Baiji'er heard the noodles flushed. Then Yekong snorted softly. This shameless boy was just for my use. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 250. 249 entry. Hey, Li Daiyu, you have received an apprentice before you have even received a teacher. Zhang Wulin couldn't understand this time, and persuaded, Li Daiyu, did you really care about that little lady? Baiji'er, though beautiful, but also immortal, and not complete, if you want to be close to her, it is her great creation, you do not need to accept that kind of villain. Yekong certainly wouldn't explain, he laughed, Liang knows what brother Zhang said, but, I have a destiny with me, and I'm not greedy for that young woman named Bai. But there will not be a good ending after receiving that kind of villain. You will be too late to regret it. Do you expect him to change from evil to righteousness? Well, he can change from evil to righteousness, only worse in the future, Zhang Wulin anxiously persuaded. The apprentice killed the master and stabbed the knife behind him. These things are as bullish as in the Kangnan continent. When apprentices like Xianxia are gathered around, it is tantamount to raising an insatiable wolf. Yekong laughed, rest assured, Li has his own opinion, brother Zhang would have to persuade him again. I don't know how to say you anymore. Zhang Wulin sighed, and left Yekong a little displeasedly and went into the assessment room. There are two types of assessments. One is the disciples inside. If Ling Gen is excellent, he will go directly to the next level, waiting for the selection of the class ancestors. If the spiritual root is normal, but the spell can also be used, there is a quiet room on the side of the hall. As long as 3 low-grade spells are made at a specified time, it is considered a pass. This assessment was too simple for Yekong, but he didn't want to attract attention, so he didn't participate. The second type of assessment is even simpler. It is to look directly at the spiritual root, as long as it is not the most junk spiritual root. Of course, there is another standard at the same time, which is to exceed 5 layers of gas refining. That's fine. After all, it's miscellaneous. What does a good spiritual root do? You are the brother of Zhang Wei. It was a young man who checked the base of Ling General he had already heard from outside. So Zhang Wulin reported his name, and the monk was very kind. Yes, Trouble Xianxia checked. Zhang Wulin quickly reached out his hand. You're welcome. The young monk inspected and said, Zhang Wulin, Wu people, 4 spirit roots, 7 layers of gas refining. He took notes, and then laughed again. I wonder if you can make a run? If you don't try it, as long as you successfully make 3 copies of 10 materials, you will be regarded as a disciple. And don't be bad. Zhang Wulin knows his own affairs and laughs. I can't make it, so I don't have to try it. It's good to mix in the outer hall first, and I'll ask Xianxia to take care of it later. The young man probably also wanted to soak up the martial arts in the river, and his face became a flower with a smile. It's good to say, my name is Cao Wuofeng, you can call me Brother Wuofeng. Then it was Yekong's turn to check it. As soon as he checked Lingen, Cao Wuofeng frowned suddenly, and muttered, it's another 5-element hybrid root. Forget it. Now that you have reached the 6th layer of gas refining, you have barely met the requirements. Looking at Cao Wuofeng, he needs to take a record. Yekong Kong reads aloud and said, Uncle Cao is slow, Li's spiritual roots are strange. 1 check is a mixed spirit root, 1 check is a 4 spiritual root, otherwise how can he practice? How about the 6th floor of gas refining? Are there such things? Cao Wuofeng's eyes widened and he narrowed for a while before saying, then you'll wait for the 4 Ling Gens to check again. Yekong smiled bitterly. This spiritual root is very strange. The more you wait for him, the less he will not appear. He said, Cao Wuofeng knows, this boy is pure nonsense. Cao Wuofeng is a little bit displeased, and said, Li Hizi, I have agreed with you to pass, why bother me with lies? Yekong had already prepared and laughed, Uncle Feng Feng, if you write down the roots of the spirits, you will inevitably be ridiculed in the future, and you will ask Uncle to be merciful. He smiled and patted the storage bag, trying to take some spiritual stones to bribe. But when he took out the little black cloth bag containing the spirit stones, he was dumbfounded. God! A piece of spirit stone is gone. This is a thief. Looking at Yekong's bun, Zhang Wulin quickly took out Lingxi's pocket. When Cao Wuofeng saw that they were going to bribe themselves, he hurriedly resigned, don't be polite, all of them will be a martial artist, Wu Yishi will be angry. Yekong could not check the storage bag, and said quickly, Uncle Feng, in fact, Wu Yi's girl listens to me the most. I am closer than her brother, so please help me. I will say something to you when that happens. Decided to work. Cao Wuofeng was so happy that when he looked at Yekong, he looked just like his ancestors. When he wrote Li Hizi, Wu Quarren, 4 spirit roots, and 6 layers of refining gas. Brother Li. Don't forget to help me say goodbye, my name is Cao Wuofeng. Good to say, it must be. Yekong took the token of the disciple and Zhang Wulin walked out. Yekong is indeed cautious. Even if Yun Fuzong is included, he cannot reveal the doubts of the roots. Not to mention, it didn't take long before someone really quietly checked whether there were any roots in the disciples of the new ancestors. Because of Yekong's caution, he escaped. Li Daiyu, how can you say that? Wu Yi's marriage is her own decision. If you let her know, she must be angry again. Zhang Wulin is still upset about Ye Kong's words just now. You won't end up without telling her. Ye Kong didn't bother talking to Zhang Wulin, he was checking the storage bag. My spirit stone. No more. There is really no peace left. Thousands of spirit stones. God, I'm broke. Who killed Qiandao and stole Laozi's spirit stone? When Ye Kong and Zhang Wulin walk back, Zhang Wuyi is still chatting with the real person who built the base. The girls were more attentive. At a glance, they saw Ye Kong's shrine and asked, Dark Egg, what's wrong with you? Didn't you pass? Passed, Ye Kong replied faintly, but he remembered in his heart where the spirit stone was stolen. Why are you unhappy? Through you, Zhang Wuyi was a little weird. This black egg should be hectic and hazy all day long. How could he be sentimental? I lost my spirit, Ye Kong smiled bitterly. How many pieces are lost? Several monks around were very strange. Generally, the storage bag was flipped, and the owner would know immediately, so the loss of the spirit stone would not happen. Lost? Well, 100 yuan. Ye Kong couldn't say 10,000 yuan, right? Speaking to tear up the pants of the people in front of them. Forget it, 110 spiritual stones, even a disciple, can earn them more than half a year. The male monk who chatted with Zhang Wuyi was amused. These casual repairs are poor, and the 110 spiritual stones are so sad. Yeah, you lost 100 stones. Zhang Wuyi also despised the boy, and then said, Go, I'll take you to the outer hall. Following Zhang Wuyi, Ye Kong was still absent-minded. Tens of thousands of spirit stones were not a small number. More importantly, his storage bag was opened, and he didn't feel even a bit. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 251. 25 Lingling stones stolen. This is weird. Ye Kong can hardly think of anyone who has such a great ability. If this person wants to kill himself, I am afraid he will not know how to die. Ye Kong Ling was stolen. Zhang Wulin had his own opinion. Li Daiyu, I think the mother and child are suspicious. You must be greedy for the young beautiful woman, who knows the truth of others. It's impossible, both of them are mortals, and that Baiji's expression doesn't seem to be fake. So you haven't realized it yet, Zhang Wulin said intently. I'm not greedy for her beauty. Ye Kong was a little depressed, stolen by himself, and counted by Zhang Wulin. The conversation between the two people immediately attracted Zhang Wuyi's attention. What are you talking about? What beauty, what little women? Ye Kong didn't want to be ridiculed by Chili anymore, and said quickly, well, it's your brother who looks after a dead lady and wants to marry home, afraid you won't agree. Yeah, Zhang Wulin almost vomited 3 liters of blood and died. It was apparent that he and the Baiji were inexperienced, but now he pleaded guilty. He had never seen such a shameless person. Really? Brother, when did I not know? Zhang Wuyi's eyes widened. Her eyes were already large, and her eyes widened. But it's not ugly, black and white, watery black eyes, and thick eyelashes that can sweep the floor. It must be so good looking and good looking. No wonder brother Cao is so tempted. Don't listen to him talking blindly, nothing to do with Ben, it's just that this black egg has a ghost in his heart. Zhang Wulin just wanted to explain clearly, but Ye Kong couldn't bear to say a word. Don't explain, explain is a cover. Zhang Wulin was speechless. I thought the black guy was loyal, but who knows that this kid is loyal and has bad water in his bones. Zhang Wuyi knew the boy better, and she laughed, brother, I know you're not that kind of person. Now you know that this black egg is clever, isn't there a word of truth? Yes, I really regret it now, haha. The 3 came to a hall on the mountainside with giggles, and the plaque on the door of the hall read Sihatang. Sihatang is the outer hall. It is strange that Zhang Wuyi walked to the front of the Sihatang, his face suddenly darkened, and his face with a shallow smile was also bitter. Entering Xianxia, there was a female monk in the early days of foundation construction. When they saw them coming in, she smiled, "Wei is back in the mountains, why are you coming to Xianxia today?" "Guy, I brought my brother and a friend here. They just joined our Yun Fuzong today and were separated into the outer hall," Zhang Wei replied. Oh, the nun nodded, and she looked at the door behind her, and whispered, "Just leave them to me, and go back to your master first." "Thank you, Sister Zhang Wei." I also seemed to be very jealous of the things behind the door. He told Zhang Wulin and Yekong and hurriedly walked out of the temple. "My name is Li Yao, enthusiastic reader Li Yao cameo. Regardless of the living arrangements of this outsider disciple, if you have any needs in life, you can find me because of Zhang Wei." Li Yao is still very polite. Of Uncle Li, pay more attention to it in the future. Yekong and Zhang Wulin quickly saluted. The cultivator's generation is ranked according to the cultivating realm. This female cultivator is a higher level than them, of course, the master and uncle. Okay, let's call it sister. I and Wu Yi are also sisters. You are all her brothers. If you call me uncle, it will be a mess." Li Ruo laughed and Yekong and Zhang Wulin only had then laughed. They thought the nun was pretty good. Later, Li Yao took them to the dormitory of the disciple outside. Although it was simple, it was good for one person, and then Li Yao took out 2 more storage bags, which contained some necessary living items. Settled in a good place, Li Ruo took them to the elder's office of the disciples in the church. The name of the elder Chuan Gong is Li Ming, and he is not very old. He was repaired in the middle of the construction period. I heard that it was Zhang Wei's brother, and he was also very enthusiastic. From Li Ming, he received a sublime flying sword weapon and 3 jade cards, and Yekong took out the jade cards in a hurry, and delved into it with his spiritual knowledge. The 3 Yukangli are the basic grassroots practices that can no longer be used normally, and only the exercises below the foundation. The other Yukangli are recorded the use of some small spells, such as fireball, ice bombing, and sky eye. Yes, the last jade and Cambodia is an introduction to a charm. The enlightenment inside it can no longer be enlightened. This book is sold in Beizai Fangfang City, and 1 copy of 5 spirit stones. Seeing Yekong's thoughts, Li Ruo laughed. That was for the disciples who just started. You are all in the middle and late stages of gas refining. Of course, you don't need to watch it. When you have the opportunity to enter the inner hall, there are classics, that's a lot. Then please invite Sister Li to carry more. Yekong quickly laughed. It's not up to me whether I can enter the inner hall, Li Yao said with a smile. You can go around by yourself. Remember to report to the 4 Cs Hall on time tomorrow morning. Uncle Cao Muking, the chief supervisor of the outer hall, is very unwilling. Sympathetic. Where to go? Zhang Wulin asked Yekong, looking at Li Yao's back. Don't watch, everyone else is gone. You want to turn around, it's too late to catch up. Yekong laughed. You have no good words with a black egg. Zhang Wulin hammered him towards the dormitory. Yekong also walked back. He didn't have any mood to appreciate the scenery. When he thought that tens of thousands of spirit stones had been lost, he wanted to scold others. I went to my room to meditate. Yekong and Zhang Wulin greeted each other, walked into his house, took out a matrix, closed the space, and then sat down and carefully checked the storage bag. Yekong's storage bag is still very organized. First, there are several commonly used magic instruments inside. Second, there are a large number of neat charms stacked neatly. In addition, there are several sets of clothes and black stones. Bags, what's left in the end is a sorted storage bag. But Yekong poured everything out, but found one more thing. It's a yellowish thing, soft and rude. Is this a soil? Yekong hurriedly went to see the bag containing the soil, and found that one of the bags was not tied well, and it is likely that the soil was leaked out. However, this piece of soil is a bit different. the color is much lighter, the feel is different, it is cooler and smoother, and it is a bit like jelly in summer. Is it the ghost of this thing? Ye Kong thought about it, only this is possible. So he hurried out of the formation and borrowed a few spirit stones from Zhang Wulin. After returning, he put the dying soil on the table, half a meter away, placed the spirit stone, and then began to observe quietly. To Ye Kong's surprise, there was no movement at all, and the piece of interest did not move. To the reader.